I don't remember.
It's mean.
You did it. It's condoned.
Happy and healthy New Year to all of our dedicated listeners. And welcome back to ASP Stuff Radio, the one and only internet radio show that talks about a whole bundle of stuff like nepotism, overpaid athletes, and green baby poop. Yum. We've resurrected from our overextended winter hibernation. Today is January 12th. I'm your host, Alvarado. Joining me are your regular guest stars, Stevocrates and Paulado. Happy New Year, guys. How you doing?
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Woohoo!
Jeez, finally back on the air.
Finally. Man, what happened to us?
Took some vacation time.
Too long.
Resting up.
Lots of time off. Getting ready for a new great 2017 instead of the depressing 2016.
Yeah.
2016 was a bad year for a lot of people.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know what was driving that, but yeah.
I think it was someone called Trump.
Drumpf?
Yeah.
Is that German?
Give me a break.
Your favorite president-elect.
Our favorite
Of all time.
And our favorite topic to discuss, such as today. Hey, we'll be talking about that guy again.
Again,
Gee,
But before,
it's old news.
Gita and Heideko are tired of hearing about Trump.
that's
Drumpf.
that's the fun stuff. Any New Year resolutions?
Try to avoid the apocalypse.
The Trumpocalypse?
Not watch the inaugural ceremony.
Not watch it?
The inauguration, no. Just
It's
get through
probably
it.
going to be on NPR, unfortunately. So I won't have a choice.
My resolution is going strong from 5th grade to never have any of those New Year's resolution.
That's kind of being hypocritical, but yeah.
Now,
And to do exercise.
well, mine is the opposite, to stuff my face with a lot of food and not do exercise
With plants,
with plant-based
stuff
diet.
with plant-based foods.
Give me a break.
Does Trump? What is Trump's New Year's resolution?
To be honest and run our country in the ethical, moral way.
I think it's to turn this blue dot into a gray crumb.
Gray, scattered
I think he's got a couple. He's got 8 years to do it.
Okay. So he doesn't have to do it right away. He has
It's
8
like
years.
an 8-year resolution.
Okay.
He's got 8 years.
All right, so let's get right into the hardy stuff.
So Trump's ethics.
Trump's ethics in
If we're
particular.
trying to have Trump be more ethical, what do we have to do to get there?
Now, interesting, that phrase itself is oxymoronic. Trump's ethics.
Yes, it is very. I was about to say the lack.
The lack thereof.
Yeah.
So there have been some interesting things on the news lately, aside from the Russian scandal or the supposed fake news about him involved in prostitution or sexual activity in Russia.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't listened to
hear
the
about that?
NPR updates on that?
It's all fake news. It's phony stuff.
Trump is a PIMP like Jay-Z, huh?
He is a pimp, but apparently he was accused of filming, or he was filmed at a hotel somewhere in Moscow with 2 prostitutes that quote unquote defiled the same bed where Obama and his wife stayed at.
Wait, say that again.
So
They did what?
and they don't put this out on mainstream. You gotta dig and
This is
find out.
darknet stuff.
BuzzFeed. That's a
Fake news.
fake
Wrong.
news. But CNN reported put this out. They published it, and apparently Trump was involved in some sexual activity with 2 Russian prostitutes in Moscow in one of his hotels. I don't know if it was one of his hotels or a hotel in Moscow, but he wanted to have them defile the same bed that Obama and Michelle slept on.
When was this?
I don't know. It happened years ago, but they
A couple days ago.
decided to uncover this or let it out, release it to the public, and
Was it
So
a video
they-
or just it wasn't a video, was it?
though they have no video. But here's what Trump has to say about that.
It's all fake news. It's phony stuff. You are fake news.
That's it. End of story.
What does he have to say about him and Putin being good buddies?
You are fake news.
I am.
It's all fake news. It's phony stuff.
What about him like releasing his tax returns?
It's all fake news. It's phony stuff.
Okay.
Well, he said that he's still under audit, so why,
okay.
can't release it. He's under
Give me
audit.
a break.
I heard something about Colbert talking about urine and doing a lot of pee puns, like this is a terrible leak for Donald Trump. They don't want this. It's yellow journalism.
Oh,
Lots of pee puns. Something about urine, I guess.
So that's probably that has to do with the defiling then.
Yeah.
Defiling the bed, yeah.
So that's not very ethical. That's not a good start. He hasn't even been inaugurated yet, and all this stuff is coming out. It's making it worse.
So that's the nitty-gritty immoral actions of Trump. Alleged immoral actions.
And this couldn't have come out before the election.
Yeah. Let's just release it after he was elected president.
After the electoral college vote, too.
And after we create this whole fake news controversy so that Trump has an opportunity to say, well, that's just fake news. We all know what that is. ASP Stuff Radio, that's a fake news outlet.
You are fake.
Yeah.
You are fake news.
That's what we are.
Well, that's what he was doing during the press conferences, right? He was picking out questions for people to ask, and then he was pointing out, oh, that's NBC. You over there, you're fake.
You're
phony.
fake, you're not, you're phony, you're reliable. Yeah.
You're a phony.
So that's his response to
anything that's against him.
Yeah.
Is his response.
Yeah. Okay.
So his business stuff. That's
So that was the other thing I wanted to touch upon. That's something also interesting. So it appears that Trump violated a couple of ethical codes. The first violation is his refusal to divest from his Trump organization, which consists of hundreds of investments in real estate, brands, and other businesses. So instead of divesting, he plans to hand over management of the Trump organization to his sons. Now, I should point out that this is illegal because it violates the Constitution, in particular the Emoluments Clause in Article 1, Section 9 of the U.S. Constitution, where it states that, quote, no person holding any office shall, without the consent of the Congress, accept any present, profit, gain, office, or title of any kind, whatever, from any king, prince, or foreign state, end quote. Trump has properties in 8 countries, and because he manages these international businesses, he's clearly receiving some profit or gain from a foreign official. So, for example, every time a foreign leader stays in a Trump hotel, Trump is profiting from his transaction. So the question,
or a prostitute.
So what's the layman problem with all?
Well, that's what
Can we get somebody to explain the laymaness, because the emoldegrade that you said.
Emolument means profit.
Okay,
profit or gain.
So the issue is possibly Trump may have ran for president so he could make money. Right?
Now, okay, but why is that unethical? Why is it? It's okay.
He's
clearly, it's illegal.
The greatest country in the world. That might be a problem. He has to be looking out for the well-being of the country's citizens.
How does that conflict with his business dealings? I mean, why?
Well, because
he can't do
because
both?
of all these foreign nationals, I guess, or foreign people staying in his hotels. They're only staying there because they want to visit him because he's the most powerful person in the world.
Or just say there's some, I don't know, lobbyist or any type of organization that has a bill under consideration, and it's somebody that does business with Trump, his corporation, that he might lean toward making a decision based on what is profitable for his organization.
Okay, so he could accept a gift or a payment from a foreign leader who might want to influence policy decisions.
Yeah, it could be that, or just there's, I don't know, some type of bill that maybe restricts hotels from expanding, and it's part of some economic plan. And how are you going to make an independent call on that if you have a stake in the hotel industry? So something like that, that you can't really be in charge of something, a corporation like that, and and be running the country objectively.
So yeah, okay, good. So that would damage his ability to make impartial, rational, or objective decisions involving our country.
Right.
So it could possibly put our country at risk while dealing in foreign policy.
Yeah, whatever it might be, he's not going to be impartial.
Mm-hmm.
I even look at like George W. He was a part owner or maybe even majority owner of the Texas Rangers back in the early 90s, and then when he was elected governor, he had to sell his part of the team so he could be impartial.
And Trump
but even that, to me, okay, baseball team, all right, maybe the baseball team is linked to some oil company. I don't know. Baseball is okay, sports, but Trump is just straight up. It's all business, It's
Trump
all, and it's all obvious,
Trump
right?
steaks, Trump
yeah,
beer, all those proceeds could
Trump hats.
He could use that to, I don't know,
whatever he
invest
wants
in
for his personal gain, for his empire, for his family, for whatever.
Okay.
But just because he passes it off to his sons, adult sons, right? That doesn't mean anything. Because he's gonna go to the dinner table and talk business with his sons.
Yeah, they'll text each other. They'll keep in. All right. So how are you managing?
They don't even have to text each other. They're face to face.
Okay. So yeah, I think that's one of the problem that expert ethics have about Trump's decision to hand over management to his sons. That they'll still be in contact in some form or other.
Yeah, and Trump did say that everybody else within government, they have to abide by certain ethics, but the president is exempt from all of this.
That's what they said? That's the president
what I've heard on the news, where
it's fake.
That's what he said. That's actually what Trump said. Because I'm president, unfortunately, I'm exempt from all of these.
But ethics don't apply.
These ethical issues.
But I thought, what was it, since...
it's unfortunate.
Most presidents were fine with... divesting all their business interests. So why is Trump special in this case? What makes him so?
Well, yeah, I think most of the presidents were trying to maintain some type of image. Trump is not concerned with that at all. A lot of the presidents, they want to give the appearance that they are being ethical, and maybe they are. At least they were doing that to make the American public think that they're not being duped. But Trump is, straight up, I am duping you, and you guys don't even care, so it doesn't matter. But maybe it is true. Maybe there is a loophole in the Constitution that exempts the president from needing to be ethical, at least business wise.
I don't know how you would be president if you don't have to abide by any type of ethics. That doesn't make any sense. I don't see why you would even. They
have a committee of ethics in the government.
But we already knew this. We already knew this.
They wanted to get rid of it. That was on Monday. That news came out that the Republicans got together and they wanted to eliminate that committee altogether. I wonder why.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Congress is exempt from being ethical too. So that doesn't surprise me. It's all about appearance. There's this committee of ethics, and they decide it is Congress, and they decide whether Congress is going to be ethical. So it's like the what do they call it? The self-licking ice cream cone type thing. I don't know.
Self-licking ice cream cone?
I haven't heard of that.
No, never.
What is that?
Yeah, that's a new one. Where you kind of, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way.
Or self-serving? Or
self-serving prophecy, I guess.
Self-serving soft-serving.
Well, it's like you decide whether you're being ethical.
So you determine your ethics. So whatever you think is right is right.
Yeah,
so it's egoism.
You determine you're right from wrong.
Okay, so Trump has his ethics. It's called ethical egoism. Whatever I see as fit or right, then it's right. If I think stomping on babies is okay, then stomping on babies is okay, according to Trump's ethics, right? Quick update and clarification for our ASP Stuff Radio listeners. In political jargon, a self-licking ice cream cone is a self-perpetuating system that has no purpose other than to sustain itself. The phrase appeared to have been first used in 1992 in On Self-Licking Ice Cream Cones, a paper by Pete Worden about NASA's bureaucracy. Back to the show. All right,
So it's
Speaking
it's
of ice
as if
cream.
Congress and president are above the law for ethics.
Fair enough. Now, speaking of ice cream, let's talk about Trump's nepotism. Neapolitan ice cream.
Define Neapolitan.
Neapolitan.
It's 3 flavors: strawberry, chocolate,
And Trump orange.
vanilla.
Nepotism. What is it?
Sorry.
Is it legal? And why is it immoral or unethical? All right, you ready for snooze?
Snooze news.
Snooze news.
Vin Scully hour.
Nepotism is, now this is from my Mac computer dictionary. Nepotism is, quote, the practice among those with power or influence of favoring relatives or friends, especially by giving them jobs, or simply favoritism shown to relatives, especially in appointment to high office. Now, nepotism is from the Italian word nepotismo and nepote, meaning nephew. Earlier this week, Trump hired his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, as senior White House advisor. Now, his political specialty involves government operations, trade deals, and Middle East policy. Trump also assigned his 3 oldest children, Ivanka, Eric, and Donald Jr., official roles as part of his transition committee, and of course, he handed over control of his companies to his sons, Eric and Donald Jr. Is this legal? Is nepotism legal? Now, according to the 1967 anti-nepotism law, it is not. The statute states the following, that, quote, no federal official, including a member of Congress, can appoint, promote, or recommend for appointment or promotion any relative of the official to any agency or department over which the official exercises authority or control. And relative is defined as, quote, an individual who is related to the public official as father, mother, son, daughter, brother, sister, uncle, aunt, first cousin, nephew, ... son-in-law, end quote, and so on and so forth. So the anti-nepotism law was established after John F. Kennedy named his brother as Attorney General. So it seems that Trump's appointment of Kushner and his children violate the anti-nepotism law.
It was put in place because of what a former president, John F. Kennedy, done.
Yes.
I guess. Okay. I guess I thought that presidents were exempt, but maybe this is not unprecedented territory.
Unprecedented?
Unprecedented. Yep.
Now, I do have an NPR clip.
Is it a high nasally voiced reporter?
No.
Oh, wow. Then I think
I
we
don't
have
think
to
so.
listen to it.
I don't think so. It's called Jared Kushner and the Anti-Nepotism Statute that might keep him from the White House.
Is under consideration for a top White House job, though no actual announcement has been made. If Kushner does take a role in the Trump administration, it could run afoul of the federal anti-nepotism statute. And with us to talk about these rules is NPR's Elsa Chang. Hi.
Hi.
First, what does this anti-nepotism statute say?
Well, it's a law that prevents any public official from appointing or employing any relative in the agency that public official serves. So 3 important words here: public official, relative, and agency. Or I guess that's 4, but 3 terms. So this law is something that came into being in 1967. It's widely believed to have been motivated, at least in part, by President John F. Kennedy's nomination of his brother Robert as Attorney General. At the time, that appointment had rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But the statute was also directed at much more lower profile nepotism going on at that time. For example, it was fairly common for congressmen to hire their wives to work in their offices. And the lawmakers who crafted the statute at the time said that this legislation was, at least in part, in response to that.
Well, it would seem at first glance that this statute would apply to a White House job for Jared Kushner, would it?
That's right. I mean, in some ways, Kushner is a relative, and under the statute, son-in-law is listed as one of the relatives to which the statute would apply. It's also clear that the phrase public official includes the President of the United States. But there's some gray area.
Yeah, where is the gray area?
So the crux of the legal debate here is, what is an agency? Does the White House count as an agency under this law? And this is where it gets really interesting, because the most often discussed legal authority on this particular question involves Hillary Clinton. When President Bill Clinton appointed his wife to chair the Task Force on National Health Care Reform, it triggered a lawsuit in the D.C. courts. The central legal question in that case actually wasn't about the anti-nepotism statute. It was actually about whether Hillary Clinton's task force had to publicly disclose records. But almost as a passing note in the D.C. Circuit opinion in that case, the court said that the federal anti-nepotism statute does not seem to cover staff in the White House or in the executive office of the president. For example, the court stated a president would be barred from appointing his brother as attorney general, but perhaps not as a White House special assistant.
Did that settle the issue that White House staff jobs are not covered by the anti-nepotism statute?
No, they're not at all. There is a lot of disagreement in the legal community about what Judge Lawrence Silberman meant in that D.C. Circuit opinion. Courts have in the past held that parts of the executive office of the president are not agencies when it comes to the Freedom of Information Act, and therefore don't have to publicly release records. But it's not clear that legal rationale transfers over when we're talking about the anti-nepotism statute. And you can imagine why there would be tremendous disagreement. I mean, the anti-nepotism statute is based in large part because there's a perception that nepotism undermines the credibility of public officials and public confidence in government. And why would a statute like that carve out an exception for White House jobs?
Well, if Donald Trump wanted to avoid this entire legal morass, but he wanted to get advice from Jared Kushner, is there some way he could obviously do that?
Well, one law professor I talked to today mentioned that if Trump kept Kushner on as a government contractor, Kushner could totally escape the reach of this anti-nepotism statute, or maybe just give Kushner some informal advisory role. But remember, Kushner has an immense real estate business that could be subject to many other conflict of interest laws if he were to formally become a government employee. So maybe Kushner himself wouldn't want to enter that legal morass.
Okay, that's NPR's Elsa Chang. Elsa, thank you.
Give me a break.
Morass, my ass.
That was a little high and nasally.
It was.
Yeah, a little deeper version.
So
yeah, why aren't they? Why is Kushner even considered here? That seems slam dunk. That shouldn't. He shouldn't be allowed to take on that role.
But she made the point that the White House is not technically a federal agency.
So
technically,
so it's not an agency.
But that's a big deal, technicality, because you have your lawyers that will see that and they can argue to the death. And especially if you have a government lawyers versus high-paid billionaire salary lawyers, you got to think about that. These guys will find that loophole.
So he really wants his good old son-in-law in the White House.
Yeah,
I guess it's that important to
him. Interesting. Does he know anybody who's not related to him? Like, is there anybody that is either not a good old buddy
rich buddies?
Yeah, it's either
son.
It's either a family relative or a crony, one of his buddies, a crony.
I guess Mattis, is that his name? That's the guy that's going to be the Department of Defense, the head of the Department of Defense, or Secretary of Defense.
So he's not.
He just got out of the military a few years ago, but he seems like he has a kind of good head on his shoulders. I mean, he disagrees with waterboarding, which Trump wants people to.
That's the only disagreement that they have.
And he also believes that Putin is evil. He thinks that trying to be buddy with Russia is not
a good thing.
The right thing to do. It's not the right approach.
Okay, well, let's get back to nepotism, Neapolitan ice cream. Is it ethical? Why? What's the big deal? Why can't Trump have his buddies and family or relatives part of his administration? What's the big deal? What's the big deal? Deal. Why is it wrong to have your Kushner?
Then you're putting your own personal interests ahead of the country's interests, and that shouldn't be the case when you're president. You shouldn't be looking out for your own family, your own personal gain, your own buddies' gain. It should be trying to help to improve the country, not not your family.
So again,
that's similar with the whole business ethics too. It's profitable to be president because you're popular, and so therefore you can promote your business because you're president. You're now the most powerful person. And
I see it similar to working for any company. You always have to look out for conflicts of interest. You don't want to be in the same department necessarily, or have some type of reporting relationship with anybody who's related to you, because there's possible conflicts of interest where you might take actions that are really just to benefit that family member. So it's skewing your decision making.
So it's kind of like discrimination. If you think discrimination is morally wrong, then nepotism should also be morally wrong because it's a form of favoritism. You're providing unfair preferential treatment to one person at the expense of another. So in other words, you hire someone because of their connections instead of their credentials and experience.
And it sounds like Kushner has a lot of investment
that too.
Interests, so a lot of the decision making that's supposed to be impartial won't be.
You are fake news.
And
it could be. I mean, lives could be at stake, right? You could promote somebody because they're your buddy or your family. Say there's just look at any company that there's a flight company or there's a safety of flight issue or something, and you promote the wrong person who has the good background and understands this quality stuff of flying, but you just promote somebody that's your buddy.
What if that buddy is highly qualified? What if Kushner is a highly qualified candidate?
Okay,
so then
you can look at it that on a case-by-case scenario, but you could be, putting people's lives at risk to a certain point, just depending on what it is.
It is interesting that Kushner also owns a company, a $1 million company that has relied on foreign investments. So his company could benefit by the Trump administration's trade and foreign relations policies. So it just seems like a bad mix. You got close family ties, business dealings, and they're all
wheelings and dealings,
serving their own interests at the expense of national interests. My well-being, your well-being.
Self-licking ice cream cone.
Self-licking Neapolitan.
Apparently, there's also I don't know if you saw this, so the General Services Administration, which is a federal agency, back in 2013, awarded Trump hotels the right to lease this landmark Washington, D.C. property, the old post office, for 60 years at a cost of $3 million each year. And Trump spent $200 million renovating this old building. It's located at 1100 Pennsylvania Avenue, so it's really close to the White House. And so when Trump's sworn into office, he pretty much will become both the landlord and tenant, because he's going to oversee that General Services Administration, which awarded him that right to the lease. But the terms of the agreement said that Trump he couldn't be a party in the lease, stating that no elected official of the government of the United States shall be admitted to any share or part of this lease or to any benefit that may arise therefrom. So Trump tweeted, this is late November, that he would be leaving his great business in total in order to fully focus on running the country, but he hasn't really specifically announced how he's going to do that or that he actually will. And this was his quote about ethics. So when the New York Times asked Trump about potential conflicts of interest and ethics laws, he responded, "The law is totally on my side. The president can't have a conflict of interest."
Give me a break. Give me a break. Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. Give me a break.
Give me a break.
There you go. I think that's the quote I heard.
That's the quote.
Yeah, that's the quote I heard. Yeah.
The president cannot have a conflict of interest.
No. There's no
meaning that it can't happen with me, at least.
With any president, and I bet you his lawyer will probably win that argument because he'll probably be being paid more than that government lawyer. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, this is abcnews.com where this is coming from, but I guess every president over the last 38 years has voluntarily liquidated their assets or put together blind trusts administered by independent
But they don't have
bodies. You know,
They don't have to.
That's
They
just
don't
a
have
thing that everyone does.
But they
just a
volunteered to
thing
do
they-
it. They volunteered to do it.
And just like all of them have
Yeah.
released their tax returns to the public, but they don't have to.
But they did it because they believed it was the right thing to do,
Right.
to
But
gain the
Trump
trust of
doesn't-
the public.
But Trump, you don't legally have to do it. And Trump is a business guy, so he
does
understands
with
that.
he does with this GSA agreement. He has to. That's part of the agreement. Is if
Who cares about that?
elected official can't be involved in that lease agreement.
So he'll do that probably just for GSA, but not the whole enchilada, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give you little snippets.
The law's totally on my side.
And I'm orange. We can either go into the overpaid professional athletes or the Facebook photo.
Let's stick with sort of ethical dilemma and talk about the Facebook.
Okay. Now, this was a piece of news that occurred months ago, many months ago, last year, in fact. But I thought this was
Old news.
old news. I don't want to hear
Or
it.
old news.
Bored. You're a disgrace. Your organization is a disgrace.
Old news is fake news.
This is real news. This is before the fake news. So an 18-year-old woman from Austria is suing her parents, or has sued her parents, for posting embarrassing nude photos of her when she was a baby on Facebook without her consent. Since 2009, her parents have made her life a, quote, misery, end quote. The woman's parents have posted more than 500 photos of her online and shared them with over 700 Facebook friends. Some of those pictures included her having her diaper changed and being potty trained. And here's a quote. She says, "My parents, they knew no shame and no limit and didn't care whether it was a picture of me sitting on the toilet or lying naked in my cot. Every stage was photographed and then made public," end quote. And one of the reasons why she is suing her parents is because they refused to delete the photos on Facebook when she asked them to. And according to the father, he says, "I have the right to publish these images." So the question is,
Her father, Donald Trump.
the father seems to not give a damn about what she thinks. So do you think that the teenager is right for suing her parents, or is that the right approach? Another question to consider is whether you think that parents have the right to publish photos of their kids on Facebook, intimate photos, without their consent. So, Pauledo, do you ask Lilocrates or Lilapop permission before you post baby photos of her on Instagram?
Yeah, and she usually says, "Yeah."
So she doesn't mind.
No,
So
she doesn't mind.
Paulato does have consent.
Somewhat. No, I mean you really can't get consent from a baby. So
But what suppose
That won't hold up in a court of law.
I don't think so.
she,
She's still under the Catholic age of reason, which is 7.
she's not.
Is that what the judge will say?
Well, what if
Yeah.
what if she gets older and she she gets a Facebook account and all her friends from high school make fun of her and say, "Ha ha, I saw you getting potty trained," or silly embarrassing photos of you, and
And they
then
post it all over Instagram.
yeah,
Um,
and she's upset with you and she demands
Yeah,
that you
well,
delete
that's
you delete the Instagram account, the Facebook account, everything gone.
The law of the land, everything in moderation. If these parents excessively posted diaper photos all over the place, yeah, then probably no, they shouldn't have done it. Now maybe if it was a couple,
well, this is where it comes to, I think, being responsible parents, reasonable parents, is, yeah, if at a certain age they feel like, oh, those are embarrassing pictures, so either you can delete the account or hide some of those more embarrassing pictures. But you should be able to work that out with your child. If you're really a reasonable parent and can communicate with your child, that's something you should be able to work out without getting to the possibility of a lawsuit when they turn 18.
Yeah, that's a bit
So
awkward.
without going to the Supreme Court.
Without going to the Supreme Court.
Okay, good.
So I think if you're not willing to try to do something that would make your child feel more comfortable or benefit their self-confidence, then I think you deserve to be sued. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Maybe
I agree.
This girl's father or even parents, both of them, mother and father, were inspired by Donald Trump's ethics or lack of ethics, and they felt,
when you're a parent, there are no conflicts of interest.
yeah, my daughter, my photos, my Facebook, I don't care. I'm going to post whatever I want.
Yeah, because you've seen those ads, Huggies, pull-ups, these babies running around, crawling. Is that incriminating to these babies? I mean, are they going to grow up and say...
Not if they're getting royalties.
Yeah, if they get these royalties, I don't know. Like, maybe that's a point. Maybe if they get compensated for it.
Yeah, maybe.
But then again, it's the parents that are getting the money. It's not the kids. It's not the babies.
Because I don't think you can say, well, the teenager shouldn't worry about these pictures and just needs to move on and get over it. Because they're not the one who's in that position that is feeling... I mean, they are the ones who are in the position where they're getting ridiculed at school or say even that they're applying for a college or an internship or something, and that university or job employers looks up their background and they see these strange pictures that might affect them. It's something that I think the parent has to be responsible.
It also depends on the type of picture. If it's like a picture of a baby with a dirty diaper, a cock-a-poo-poo diaper or something like that, I mean, you don't like, how about just a comment, oh, the baby's eating or drinking out of the bottle, whatever. Yeah. But if it's something bad,
like a baby eating poop,
yeah, baby, that's
like that kid with the spaghetti.
Oh, the spaghetti.
Oh yeah, that. Yeah, we're not going to hire you. Look how disorganized, disgusting you are. How you conduct yourself at the family table. That's not what we want in our company.
But you could look at the job, right? But even when they're growing up, they're a teenager. They see that video, and then all their buddies see that. They're, oh, look at they could be, their self-esteem, right, is all ruined because they're eating these Chef Boyardee noodles off the top of their head.
Yeah, so they'll be in the middle of a job interview, and the employer will ask, "So, what are your thoughts on being naked in the bathtub?" Yeah, that won't go over well.
So it's interesting to point out that France is the only country as of now where you can be convicted of publishing and distributing images of another person without their consent, and you can face up to 1 year in prison and could pay a hefty $50,000 fine. And in our country, there are only 2 states, Georgia and New Jersey, that are working on laws that will make it illegal for anyone other than a parent to photograph a minor. I'm just shocked that this isn't more rampant with little kids or teenagers suing their parents for posting.
Yeah. Yeah, because now that's all over the place. That's all people do.
Yeah,
Facebook is just about posting pictures of.
Well, you got to give it the next generation. So these are the millennials that are starting to have kids. So it'll be that upcoming generation.
Yeah, maybe this will inspire millennials.
What comes after millennials? It'll be that
Gen X,
the apocalypse,
apocalypse generation.
The apocalypse.
Yeah, they actually won't exist.
The Trump heads. Babies, myth or fact?
Okay.
That's
do we have any?
That's our game. Our game is, well, Paleto, do you want to explain?
Yeah, we have a resident subject matter expert.
So I just wanted to try to get to the root of some common or just any type of baby parenting myths that might be out there, or validate what's a fact and what hasn't turned out to be true after having a baby. Like, will your child sue you if you post pictures on Facebook?
Fact.
Probably.
Fake news.
Although I'm not sure yet. We'll see. Ask in 17 years.
So we provided some assumptions about babies and parenting.
Right. Well, I'll tell you
Or
if it's true or if it's simply a myth.
Okay.
Your first one, Alvarado, was babies prefer baby talk, goo goo, gaga, and other weird inarticulate noises than normal, rational adult conversation.
Right. So I assume that babies prefer that you speak to them in a non-rational, articulate language. So I think they like that, right? Babies.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they like that. And it's hard to say because you can't really ask a baby, but they.
Well, aren't there baby experts out there that scientists?
What the experts say is
What does Bill Nye
babies prefer like higher, lighter, softer tones when you speak to them. They respond to that better.
Softer, I get. I don't know about the higher.
So not
Higher voice, like having a higher
nasally?
voice, not NPR, not NPR.
That doesn't help.
so whether it's inarticulate or articulate, just soft, soothing sounds.
Yeah, but I think if you're doing inarticulate noises, that doesn't help either. That almost irritates them. They get frustrated with that. They want to hear it because what they try to do is mimic what you do. And so if you're saying goo goo gaga goo goo gaga, then they're trying to say that. And do you really want your baby to say goo goo gaga?
So they might develop a speech impediment.
Yeah. or get frustrated. Like you hear some grandparents who go away, they'll like go something like that, and it's
That's kind of scary, though.
That's scary. Yeah,
I would imagine that's scary or frightening for a kid.
Especially if your heart's not in it. You can't just go goo goo gaga goo 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 goo.
No,
you have to really.
Then the baby is just gonna stare at you like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
So that's your experience.
Mm-hmm.
So the baby they might prefer that you speak to them like, "Hello, George. How are you doing today?"
I don't think so.
You'd have to do a higher pitch.
Today is a nice day now, isn't it, George?
There you go. Talk like
Hi.
remember the
Hi, George.
Blues guy?
Hey, George. How are you doing?
Remember that blues guy on Nickelodeon?
Yeah,
Junior.
He does. Yeah,
Who's
he does.
Blues?
He had that.
Ever watched him?
I don't
He
know.
had
Very
that
high
blue
pitch.
striped shirt. He looked like Sheldon from
Yeah.
area a little bit. He talked in a very high, slow voice.
I'll have to get a
What
clip.
about like?
I'll have to get a
Pee-wee
clip of
Herman?
that.
Hi out there, it's me, Steve. Have you seen Blue, my puppy?
All right. So okay, good.
So myth.
That's a myth. All right.
Myth.
Goo Goo Talk is a myth. It's a myth. Myth, myth, myth. You know what I am saying.
Partial myth.
How about we get one from Mr. Steve-ocrates?
Just like there is fake news, is there such a thing as baby fake crying? That is, are babies smart enough to cry when they are not necessarily sad?
Wow, they must be a smart baby to pull that off.
I'm just curious.
I'm going to trick Paulito into thinking that I'm really crying, but I'm really not.
Well, there is fake crying.
There's
fake crying?
fake news and there's fake crying.
What?
Yeah.
You
are fake crying.
You are fake
But
crying.
that's more once they're a little older. Because now,
have you experienced that yet?
it's more the baby will cry whenever she needs something, especially when they're very young, like newborn, just a few weeks old. They're only going to cry when they absolutely need something. They're hungry. They have to use the bathroom.
But those are like in newborn kind of perspective. That's like urgent. Like it's absolute must. Like their life,
like a biological need that's compelling them to just
they won't survive
cry.
without this.
Or if they're in pain, if they're in pain, some necessity, something needs to be fixed, so they'll cry.
But
that's how they communicate.
As they age, you're saying, at what point are they capable of crying, but not?
I guess have you seen it yet with
somewhat,
Lava Pop?
but I don't think it's fake crying. It's more she doesn't know any other way to communicate than crying. And so she's learned that she can get something addressed, like she can get picked up whenever she cries. So if she's tired and doesn't want to go to sleep, this is the main thing. She'll
That's
cry.
the main fake cry. So that's probably a fake
So
cry.
what does it mean when...
I wouldn't call it a fake cry, but it's more, that's the only way I know how to get something that I don't necessarily need, but that I want.
So
She's
what-
not
So
aware
instead of going how Socrates would do, hey, father, that I'd like to not sleep right now, if you don't mind.
yeah,
she-
that's how she communicates.
And
So you just go, "Wah."
Like fake crying is when you hear a kid in the grocery store like,
I dropped my fork.
yeah, that's fake crying.
Okay. Well,
Or they don't need a cry. They don't
Because they
even
don't-
have a need. They just are spoiled and are just crying just to. They're acting
Right.
like a baby, pretty much. That's why they say that. Stop acting like a baby.
okay. And what does it mean when a baby gets picked up by, say, Uncle Alvarado and they start crying? That's definitely fake crying. right?
And Alvarado has a thick, huge scraggle.
I
all
think
over his face.
that's crying in terror.
That's crying in terror because the Muslim was not banned.
Yeah.
Oh,
Get out of
alright.
my country.
All right,
Give me a
vicinity.
break.
Okay. All right. Let's hear the third or the second one from me.
Let's try myth or fact number 2. Parents with babies, kids live happier and more meaningful lives than those without.
I'm gonna guess that
Philosophical.
they do.
From what I heard, studies actually show that married parents, are more likely to get divorced
Whoa.
and have stress issues, arguments when they have kids because they're expensive.
Okay.
So
So
you have a lot of financial issues. So that's more of the realistic outcome. Like when you have a kid, it's going to add a lot more responsibilities, more things for the parents to have to worry about. So they may not actually be happier.
Yeah, NPR just came out with the new estimate, by the way, about how much it costs per year. I don't know. Is it or no over the lifetime? Maybe it's like
I thought it was 18 years of age.
Mm-hmm.
That's 250,000 or so.
Yeah.
I think that's been increased.
Really?
I think it's been increased to,
With Trump taking over as president.
Yeah.
It's been increased to 1.4 billion.
1.4 billion.
No, but there was a new estimate. I can't remember the exact.
But either case, 250 is a hefty fine for having a baby.
Yes, it's a fine. It's a ticket. We're writing you a ticket. You had a baby. Now go pay
That's
this
what you
fine.
get. That's your penalty
It's a surcharge.
and a divorce.
It's easy. You just pay it up front. I mean, why not? It's a lump sum.
So then
But, yeah.
there's no happiness and more richer, fuller, meaningful life.
Well, that depends on the
philosophy.
So if you want to get
Okay,
philosophical
We're
about
asking Pauleto, the parent.
So from my perspective, it's how in what position are the parents to take care of that child? Are they in a good position or a bad position? And are they able to handle their own marital issues without a child? Like if you have issues with your marriage before a child, then you're probably going to have issues after.
Correct.
For sure. So I find it where if you have that good relationship between the parents, then they find more happiness with the child because it's adding more to that whole relationship. So you feel more fulfilled, you feel happier when you see that child. You don't just see, great, here's another thing to do, and now I got to change a diaper, and now I need to feed this kid, now I need to do this, here the baby's crying.
Mm-hmm.
Can't go to sleep at night. So yeah, you have all those challenges. Everyone has those challenges, but you're able to deal with it better. And you can, so because of that, you find the good things, the happiness, a lot easier. You actually experience it where other parents probably overlook all of that because they just see the challenges.
Wise words from Dr. Paulado on ASP Stuff Radio.
Please clap.
So that's myth/fact.
It's a myth or a fact depending on whether you're a shitty shit couple of parents.
Didn't you text me, Alocrates, over the weekend about kids and raising kids?
I did. Did I?
This is a quote. I want to raise kids so they can make the world a better place. There's no reason to bring new life into a corrupt world.
I think you're taking things out of context, sir. What I was saying is that... What the hell was I saying?
Well, we were talking about the apocalypse and all this. Very serious stuff. We were upset about Trump.
Same thing.
I was saying that parents can no longer just willy-nilly say, let's have a kid, let's start a family. I think their moral obligation should now be, how can we raise our kid to make the world a better place with Trump in office and with the world going down the tube, the blue dot becoming...
You might want to think twice about having that kid now that you have the apocalypse.
Global warming.
I think the point was, well, maybe you should raise your child to have, I don't know, a sense of purpose, I suppose, to make the world better.
I mean, what is the purpose in having a kid? I think for most people, it's to continue the legacy. The family legacy.
The Trump name.
The Trump name. I'm going to have a kid just to keep our bloodline running. But that I don't think that's a good reason to have a family, especially in this 21st century of Trump supporters. And
that's an interesting question.
It is. We could tackle that.
I don't know if do parents think about that,
why they want to have a child,
that larger universal.
Yeah, they need to transcend their self-interests, their limited bubble, because the family is, in some respect, a small form of government.
Or in Trump's case, government is family.
There you go. Yeah.
Good point.
It's a scoop of Neapolitan ice cream. Nepotism ice cream.
Yeah.
Now, I think you know, really, if you're having a child, you have to think about what it is why you're having the child, what it is you want for them. Are you willing to raise them the way you think the future generation should be raised? I think for me, it was more about wanting to see, what type of potential you could bring into a next generation, where you've seen your current one with so many issues and past ones with so many issues. You want to see, can you bring something better to the next generation because of who you think that child can be. So it's more
that come down to you and how you guys are?
Like if we weren't in a position where we felt like it was a good idea, we would not do it.
I felt that my whole life.
I think it's a noble cause or noble purpose.
It should be a noble purpose. That's what I think.
But you can't go into it thinking, this is going to be easy, or we're just going to let that baby do whatever and just fall into doing bad things. And, all that stuff is out there. Like the Trump presidency is an obstacle. And so it's going to be something that you have to guard against and use as a way to say, okay, this is how you don't want to act, or this is how you don't want things to be done.
That's a perfect way to raise a child. Here's what not to do.
But that can work too.
Here's what not to say. Here's how you should not dress or do your hair.
And when you're older, we'll tell you all the other stuff.
Yeah.
All the Russian hotel stuff.
All right, so we got one more.
How about the baby poo?
Yeah, we all...
The
Caca-poo-poo.
I think that was Alocrates.
So is a baby poop green and mushy green. So the texture is mushy and the color is green. I think that is.
I never knew what color baby poop was until I saw it, but it is mushy. It is mushy,
Why
more
don't you just
liquidy.
drive down to the location and find out for yourself?
But it's actually more of a mustard green, a yellowish green, not a pure green.
Okay. So
yeah, once the baby starts eating solids, it turns more like a dog poop almost, and so it does turn a little more greenish. But mostly it's yellowish mustard green.
I'm never gonna look at mustard the same way as I
it's
make.
like spray a tube of mustard on a diaper. That's what it looks like. Liquidy mustard.
So
and you have to learn how to wrap up the diaper in a way that seals it in so it doesn't leak
Drip.
out.
Yummy.
Don't
Sounds
want
delicious.
the leakage.
No green or mustard leaking.
No.
Now, is it toxic in smell and just?
It's actually
how's it smell? Is it pungent?
The more liquid ones are less smelly. The more solid ones smell more. So if it's solid,
so it's a good liquid is good.
Liquid is good. Better smell if it's liquidy. Harder to clean up.
Closer to a
solid,
bouquet of
stinky.
flowers.
I wouldn't say that. But
The firmer poops are much more potent.
it's like adult poop. Only after eating solids.
Good topic.
So we hope we have dispelled your myths about babies.
But if you're inclined to vote for Donald Trump, please do not have more children.
Yeah, Trump supporters, do not continue your family legacy.
Should we pass a law?
Sorry.
Should we pass a law to ban Trump supporters from having
People who
babies?
supported Trump should not have any more kids or plan on having kids.
People
I
with
guess-
black lungs. That's fake news.
Fake. So our next show, we're going to do a movie review on La La Land.
Oh, exciting.
What if we haven't seen it?
Who's in that movie?
Emma Stone and Ross Gosling.
Rosling.
What's his name?
Rosling.
Oh, it's a musical.
It's a musical.
Yes.
Pauleto's
don't
favorite.
musicals always win?
Yeah, they do. And
How
So we
about you
ran the
sing
tape.
a song from the movie next episode too?
All right, I'll do
Yeah.
it. I'll do that, but we have to first watch the movie and provide our input. ASP Stuff Radio input.
All right.
Fake news. Any final thoughts or words of wisdom? Well, Pauleto already gave us a good dose of that with his parenting philosophy.
Just stay sane out there for the next week or two during this whole inauguration period.
Yeah, hold it together. Pull yourself
it
together.
together.
Yeah.
well, I guess
Collect
he's
some
like.
canned goods. Store up some bottled waters just in case.
You think our lives are at risk?
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Who knows what kind of news or fake news is going to come out days before the inaugural address. It'll be interesting to watch. But one thing for sure is ASP Stuff Radio is back
with the new format.
A new format.
Yeah.
It's similar, but different.
Different. So we are all stuffed up with liquid green mustard poop from a baby's buttocks. because it won global awards, 7 or 6 awards.
I don't believe in
Golden Globe
climate
Award.
award changes.
Global awards, global warming awards.
Global warming.
It helped increase the climate. The weather has changed.
Me and Albert.